So students, here we are going to learn regarding the 5 kingdoms. We are going to learn regarding the 5 kingdom classification which is proposed by R.H. Whittaker. As proposed by R.H. Whittaker, we are going to learn the 5 kingdom classification. So here is the details regarding the 5 kingdom classification. We are going to learn regarding the 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, and the different characters which have been considered by R.H. Whittaker we are going to learn now. So Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia are the 5 kingdoms in R.H. Whittaker's classification. So we have the cell type. So the Monera, they are prokaryotic organisms, that means they do not have any distinct nucleus. The remaining 4 kingdoms, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, all of them are eukaryotic. See, all of them are eukaryotic. That means they all have a distinct nucleus. They all have a distinct nucleus. Okay. Then coming to the cell wall, okay. The cell wall of Monera is non-cellulosic. Non-cellulosic in the sense it is not made up of cellulose. It is actually made up of, in Monera the cell wall is actually made up of the polysaccharides and amino acids. These two together make up the cell wall in the Monera. It is not cellulose, polysaccharide and amino acids. In Protista, the cell wall is present only in some forms. In fungi, the cell wall is present and it is made up of chitin. In Plantae, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. In Animalia, the cell wall is completely absent. That is one of the characteristic features of animals. Cell wall is completely absent in animals. Okay. Coming to the nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane, because the Monera, they are prokaryotes, they do not have any nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is absent. Whereas Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, all of them are eukaryotes, right. So all of them, the nuclear membrane is present in all of the animals. Okay. Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, all of them, they contain a definite nuclear membrane. Coming to body organization. Body organization is cellular organization in Monera. That means they have only one cell. The cell is making up the body. Protista also, they are having cellular organization of the body. That means Monera and Protista are unicellular. That means they have only one cell making up the body. Body organization is cellular, means they have only one cell in the body. And fungi, they are multicellular, that means they have many cells, and the cells are in the form of loose tissues. The cells are in the form of loose tissues. Plantae are also multicellular. Plantae are also multicellular. In plants, the cells are grouped to form tissues, or the tissues are also grouped to form organs. Some plants they have tissues, some plants they have organs. Coming to Animalia, the Animalia kingdom is also multicellular. It includes the organisms in which there is tissues formed, organs and organ systems. These kind of organization is found in case of Animalia. Tissues, organs and organ systems are found in kingdom Animalia. So students, this is regarding the body organization. Unicellular in Monera, Protista also unicellular. Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, all of them are multicellular. Fungi, they are having loose tissues. Plantae, loose tissues or organs. Animalia, they have tissues, organs or organ systems also. Okay. Now coming to the next concept, mode of nutrition. So the mode of nutrition in Monera is autotrophic. It is either chemoautotrophic or photosynthetic, chemosynthetic or photosynthetic. That means they may utilize the energy from the broken food particles, or they may use the energy from the sunlight. So they are chemotrophic or photosynthetic, and some are heterotrophic also. Heterotrophic means they are not able to prepare their own food. Some are heterotrophic also. If they are heterotrophs, they are either saprotrophic or parasitic. Saprotrophic means they are dependent on the dead decaying organic matter for their energy sources. Saprotrophic, they are dependent on dead decaying matter for their energy. Parasitic means they are completely dependent on the other organism for their survival. Parasitic in the sense they are completely dependent on the other organisms for their survival. So this is regarding the mode of nutrition in Monera. Coming to Protista. Protista, they are autotrophic organisms. which are photosynthetic. If they are autotrophs, they are photosynthetic, and if not, they are heterotrophic. Okay, they are autotrophs and heterotrophs included in Protista. If they are autotrophic, they are photosynthetic, and there are heterotrophic forms of Protista also. Okay, then coming to fungi. Fungi, they are heterotrophic organisms. Fungi are heterotrophic organisms. They are either saprotrophic or parasitic. Saprotrophic dependent on the other decaying plant and animal materials. Parasitic means they are completely dependent on the other organism for their survival. So, fungi is a heterotroph. It is either a saprotroph or a parasite. Plantae, they are autotrophic. That means they are photosynthetic, they prepare their own food material. Animalia are heterotrophic, that means they are dependent on the other organisms for their survival. They are either directly or indirectly dependent on plants mostly. Okay, Animalia, they are either directly or indirectly mostly dependent on the plants for their survival, and the nutrition in Animalia is holozoic in particular. Nutrition in Animalia is holozoic. Okay, holozoic nutrition in the sense they eat the solid food particles and digest the food particles inside the body itself. Okay, eating food particles and digesting the food inside the body is holozoic nutrition, and holozoic nutrition is found in case of only kingdom Animalia. Holozoic nutrition is found only in the kingdom Animalia. Okay ma. So this is regarding the R.H. Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification, R.H. Whittaker. Okay ma. So now let us start to learn in detail regarding kingdom Animalia, because all these concepts you might have learnt already in your botany classes. So we are going to directly learn in detail regarding Animalia. So with this we stop learning about biological classification, students. We have learnt in detail regarding all the 5 kingdoms of R.H. Whittaker, and before we learn about kingdom Animalia in detail, one small concept we learn. Okay, we are not going to learn anything about the other kingdoms. We will be learning mostly regarding kingdom Animalia. Before we learn in detail about kingdom Animalia, one small concept is there, we will finish it off. So students, we are going to learn one more concept related to the biological classification only. Okay. So Carl Woese and his co-workers, okay, Carl Woese and his co-workers, they were studying regarding the details of RNA. Carl Woese and his co-workers, they were studying the details of RNA. So the studies on RNA, have revealed that some of the organisms belonging to kingdom Monera, Kingdom Monera is nothing but it's a kingdom of prokaryotes. All prokaryotes are included into kingdom Monera only, right? So here the kingdom Monera is actually including 2 varieties of organisms. According to RNA studies, kingdom Monera is including 2 varieties of organisms. One is complete prokaryotes, okay, one is complete prokaryotes, and the other one is showing some resemblances with the eukaryotes. The other kind of organisms in Monera is showing some kind of resemblances with eukaryotes. So those monerans which are showing more resemblances with eukaryotes than prokaryotes are separated into one more kingdom by Carl Woese and his co-workers. Okay, Monera, it is actually including all prokaryotes, but some monerans, they exhibit some similarities with eukaryotes, That is why, based on the molecular studies of RNA of monerans, Prokaryotes are included completely into Monera, but there are some organisms in Monera which exhibit some resemblances with the eukaryotes. That is why, to avoid confusion, Carl Woese and his co-workers, they introduced a 3-domain classification. They introduced a 3-domain classification in which there are 3 domains, but the kingdom Monera, all the 5 kingdoms of R.H. Whittaker are as usual, but the kingdom Monera, it is divided into 2 parts, okay, and each part of kingdom Monera is now a domain. Let us see what those 3 domains are. The first domain is bacteria, the second domain is archaea, third domain is eukarya. Bacteria, archaea, eukarya. Bacteria includes the kingdom Eubacteria, okay, Eubacteria includes the Eubacteria. Archaea includes Archibacteria, the kingdom Archibacteria. The eukaryote, the subdomain eukarya, the domain eukarya will include all the other normal kingdoms as usual, that is Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. All these are as usual and they are directly included into the third domain eukarya. Bacteria, which is including the kingdom Eubacteria, archaea includes the kingdom Archibacteria, eukarya includes Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So, this means according to 3-domain classification, the kingdom Monera is divided into 2 parts, bacteria and archaea. So, archaea is the one which shows more resemblances with eukarya. Bacteria is include all the prokaryotes, archaea is the one which includes Archibacteria. Archibacteria exhibits some resemblances with eukarya. It is not completely eukarya, but still Archibacteria shows more resemblances with eukarya than to bacteria. So, it is included into a separate domain archaea. Okay. Then eukarya means all the eukaryotic organisms are included into the domain eukarya. So, in that way totally in the domain classification there are 3 domains and 6 kingdoms, 3 domains and 6 kingdoms are present in the domain classification. Okay, ma'am. So, this is regarding the additional concept which is not even there in your NCERT book, students. You please note this down if you want to learn this. Okay, note this down. Now, let us learn regarding the next concept. As I have already told you that we are going to focus more only on kingdom Animalia. Let us learn regarding kingdom Animalia now. The basic concepts regarding all the kingdoms we have learnt. Okay, we will learn in detail about the kingdom Animalia. We are now going to learn regarding the details of kingdom Animalia. Okay. So, kingdom Animalia, it includes all multicellular non-saprobic heterotrophs. Okay. Kingdom Animalia includes all the multicellular non-saprobic heterotrophic organisms. Okay. So, this kingdom Animalia, there are some special features exhibited by the animals, that is all the animals, they do not have any cell wall, no cell wall, no photosynthetic pigments, there is no cell wall, there are no photosynthetic pigments, there is no cell wall, no photosynthetic pigments in animals. Okay. Animals, they have a proper body plan, they exhibit a proper body plan. Okay. They will be having a definite body plan. Okay. And animals, they exhibit a growth which is occurring up to a certain age. Okay. By one particular age, the animals will be achieving the definite growth. Okay. So, they exhibit a definite growth. Okay, they exhibit a definite growth, and these animals, they are having a well developed muscular and sensory and nervous systems. Okay, all these systems are well developed in animals. Muscular system. See, movement is one of the properties of the living organisms. You know, movement is one of the properties of living organisms, and animals are those organisms which exhibit very good movement. Okay, movement is because of the muscles. Movement is because of the muscles in animals. These muscles, they have some special properties. The muscles, they can contract and they can relax. Muscles, they can contract, they can relax. Because of that special property of the muscles to contract and relax to the normal position, the muscles are causing the movements in animals. And animals, they have sensory and nervous systems well developed in animals. Sensory and nervous systems are also very well developed in animals. Okay, and in animals, the major kind of nutrition is holozoic nutrition. The mode of nutrition is holozoic nutrition. As I have already told you regarding holozoic nutrition in the sense the nutrition is by ingesting the solid food particles, and after the food is taken into the body, the food will be digested from within the body itself. So, such kind of nutrition where food is eaten and digested inside the body is called as a holozoic nutrition. Okay. And the most common type of reserve food material is glycogen. Glycogen is the stored food material. It is the reserve food material. Okay, glycogen is the reserve food material in animals. Okay, and these animals, they exhibit sexual reproduction only. The sexual reproduction is the most common type of reproduction in animals. Sexual reproduction is the most common type of reproduction in animals. Most of the animals, they undergo sexual reproduction only. Sexual reproduction in the sense what? With the involvement of formation of gametes. By involving the formation of gametes, most of the reproduction in animals will occur. But some reproduction in some primitive animals, reproduction is asexual also. Sometimes in primitive animals, asexual reproduction will also occur in the animals. Okay. So, these are some of the characters of the kingdom Animalia, students. They are all multicellular, non-saprobic heterotrophs. They do not have a cell wall, they do not have any photosynthetic pigments, they will have a proper body plan, growth is definite in them, muscular system is well developed, muscles are present, muscles are causing movement, sensory and nervous systems are also well developed in animals, nutrition is holozoic, that means they eat and digest the solid food particles. Glycogen is the reserve food material. Sexual reproduction occurs in the animals. Mostly sexual reproduction will only occur. Sexual reproduction is due to the formation of gametes in animals, and at some times in the primitive animals, asexual reproduction will also occur in animals. Okay, ma. So, this is regarding the kingdom Animalia in brief. So, with this, students, we finished to even learn regarding the second chapter in the diversity of living world. Okay, here in this topic diversity in the living world, students, we have learned regarding the in this topic diversity in the living world, in the second chapter biological classification, we have learnt regarding how the animals are how the living organisms are classified, what are the different kingdoms, what are the different kingdoms proposed by different organisms, okay, what are the different kingdoms which contain different organisms, who proposed this kingdoms classification, all those details we have learnt till now, and we have learnt in detail regarding the kingdom Animalia. Okay, ma. So, students, now we are going to start the last chapter of our first unit, that is kingdom Animalia. Okay, as the features of animals I have already discussed. Okay, so we learn some more new concepts related to the kingdom Animalia. So students, there are a variety of animals, right? Variety of animals. Even there are some animals which cannot be observed with, which are very small till very giant animals are there. Small to big, many different sizes are there. Many different shapes of animals are there. Many different colors are there. Many different food habits, many different ways of lives, many different modes of nutrition are found in animals. But in spite of all these differences, there are some similarities in the living in the animals, like the similarity in the digestion, respiration, circulation. There are some similarities among the animals. Okay, so and even the levels of organization are also found in the animals. So in today's kingdom Animalia concept, we will be learning a lot more concepts related to animals. Okay, so we will first start with the levels of organization found in animals. Okay, in today's class we will just discuss levels of organization in animals. In animals, totally students, there are 4 levels of organization. In animals totally there are 4 levels of organization. They are, the first one is cellular level of organization. Cellular level of organization, in the sense, though these animals are multicellular, all animals are multicellular, there are some primitive animals, though being multicellular, they don't form tissues. They are multicellular, they have many cells in the body, but still the cells are not forming tissues. Such kind of organization of body is called cellular level of organization. No formation of tissues occurs in cellular level of organization, and the cellular level of organization is exhibited by the only phylum Porifera. Okay, there is no formation of tissues, but still there are some loose aggregates of cells. There are loose aggregates of cells. Loose aggregates, in the sense, some loose groups of cells are still present in these and phylum Porifera, but they are not forming any tissues. This tissue formation is absent in the cellular level of organization in Porifera because of the absence of sensory and nerve cells. Because of the absence of sensory and nerve cells, there is no coordination between the cells, so there is no formation of tissues in the phylum Porifera. But still they exhibit a division of labor. But still they exhibit division of labor. Okay ma, division of labor in the sense dividing the work of the body is done in the Porifera, but still there is no formation of tissues. This is cellular level of organization. This is cellular level of organization which is found in phylum Porifera, which is the first phylum in kingdom Animalia. Okay, in kingdom Animalia the first phylum is phylum Porifera. Then second level of organization, as I have told you, totally 4 levels are there in animals. So second level of organization is tissue level of organization. Tissue level of organization in the sense, the cells which perform the same function. Tissues are nothing but a group of cells which perform the same function come together and they form a tissue. So tissue level of organization means here there is formation of tissue seen. Formation of tissues is found in a tissue level of organization. Formation of tissues is seen in tissue level of organization, and this tissue level of organization is exhibited by the phylums of the kingdom Animalia like Cnidaria and Ctenophora. Cnidaria and Ctenophora, they exhibit tissue levels of organization. Here cells of performing same function will be grouped together to form tissues, and the formation of the tissues is one of the very important changes. It is one of the key changes. Okay, this is one of the very important changes which have occurred in the evolution of animals. Formation of tissues is the first important change which has occurred in the evolution of animals. Okay ma, so if tissue level of organization is found in phylum Cnidaria and phylum Ctenophora of kingdom Animalia, and tissue level of organization is a higher level of organization than the cellular level of organization. Now let us see the third level of organization, organ level of organization. Organ level of organization in the sense the different kinds of tissues which are destined to perform the same function. Okay, different kinds of tissues which are destined to perform same function are grouped together to form an organ. Cells which, the different kinds of tissues which are destined to perform same function are grouped together to form organs. This organ level of organization is higher than tissue level of organization, and it has appeared for the first time in the phylum Platyhelminthes. Okay. Then the last level of organization is organ system level of organization. Organ system level of organization. Organ system level of organization means the different organs will come together to perform the same function. Okay, different organs together form the organ systems. Okay, this is the most complex, the most highest level of organization among all the animals. Cellular level, tissue level, organ system level, right. So, organ system level of organization is the most complex level of organization, most higher level of organization among all the animals. So, here the organs, different organs come together, form an organ system, and every organ system will perform one function. Like our nervous system performs conduction of impulses, our circulatory system is involved in transportation of the substances in the body, and like our digestive system is concerned with digestion, excretory system with excretion, reproductive system with reproduction. In that way, different systems are formed in the body in the organ system level of organization. Okay, all the phylums of the kingdom Animalia, phylum Platyhelminthes, also some of the Platyhelminthes, Nematoda. Students, you have to remember these names. These are the phylums in kingdom Animalia. Okay, all these names are important. We will be coming across and across these terms. Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. Okay, these are the organisms, phylums, Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. You have to write all these phylums in the same order. Anytime you are writing all the phylums, then you have to write the phylums in the same order. This order is according to the order of their evolution. So, according to this order only you have to write the names of the phylums whenever you are writing all of them. Okay. So, organ system level of organization is exhibited by all these different phylums. It is the highest level of organization among all the animals. Okay. Let us learn more regarding organ system level of organization and few more concepts related to kingdom Animalia. A lot to learn from kingdom Animalia. We will continue learning regarding kingdom Animalia in our next class. Okay. Thank you all students for joining the class.